This next chapter, we're going to talk about professional organizations. There's a lot of different professional organizations that we're going to review. The main ones just for radiography are the ones that I'm going to focus on in this PowerPoint. So you have different objectives. Make sure you read the objectives and you understand what the goal is for this chapter. The key terms here, we're going to go ahead and define them. So we have accreditation. And the definition of accreditation is a voluntarily peer-reviewed process through which an agency grants recognition to an institution for a program of study that meets specific criteria. Certification, on the other hand, is a voluntary process also through which an agency grants recognition to an individual on demonstration, usually by examination of specialized professional skills. And then you have your licensure is a process by which a governmental agency, usually a state, grants permission to an individual to practice their profession. So let me just give you a rundown real quick. So accreditation is usually institution, and in order to get accreditation, they do a peer review process. It's voluntary. It can be the Joint Commission. It can be JCERT. It's of the institution. Whereas certification, you are going to get your ASRT certification. So they're going to say, yes, you are competent as an individual through examination and education of these professional skill sets. Your licensure is going to come from the state of California. So California Department of Public Health Radiologic Health Branch, so CDPHRHB, is going to give you your licensure to practice the profession of radiologic technology in the state of California. So those are your three different key terms that I really want you to know the difference there. Also, there's essential guidelines. So the essentials and guidelines are documents specifying the minimum qualification standards for the accreditation of an educational program as approved by the appropriate Joint Review Committee sponsors. So there's essentials and guidelines that everyone must follow if they want to maintain accreditation. There's also standards, so documents specifying the minimum requirements for accreditation of an educational program by a joint review process. So there's standards that we have to uphold. For JRCERT, there's standards 1 through 6, and there's a bunch of sub underneath each one, so subsections that we have to abide by. Then there's the sponsoring organization, so a professional organization that appoints members to a joint review committee board. All right, so I'm going to explain that a little bit further in just a minute. So there's three general classifications of organizations. There's the accreditation, certification, and professional organizations. So we talk about accreditation, so the process to ensure high quality of operations and offerings. It's a voluntarily and peer-reviewed process. It involves several areas within healthcare. There's accreditation of healthcare organizations like the Joint Commission, educational programs like JRCERT or ABHES. That's another one that does educational programs. Accreditation of various services within a healthcare system. So schools. The big one, the big gold standard is JRCERT, which is Joint Review Committee on Education in Radiologic Technology. There's their web address. It's jrcert.org. There's a whole student section. You can take a look. If you want to file any grievances, you can do it through them. It goes straight to the CEO, and the CEO notifies the school. So there's also Joint Review Committee on Education in Diagnostic Medical Sonography, so it's JRC-DMS. There's also Joint Review Committee on Education in Nuclear Medicine, so JRC-NMT. Doesn't roll off the tongue like it does the others. So JRCERT, they're concerned with compliance and educational standards developed by and for the profession of radiology. They're governed by a board of directors known as the Joint Review Committee. So their board of directors has a specific name called the Joint Review Committee. The JRCERT accreditation requires demonstrated compliance with minimum requirements known as essentials or guidelines or standards. So right now they refer to it as standards, just so you know. If you hear us talking about standards, we'll say standards 1.3 or 2.6 or whatever, and that's what we're reviewing. Okay, so the process of JRCERT application. So you submit and pay a fee, and you get onto the portal and you can do an application. So once you fill out the application, you need to write a self-study. So once you're done with the self-study and it's been approved, they'll send out some site visitors to come out and inspect the program. So you have to pay to join, you have to pay for site visitors to come. Although they're volunteers, we have to pay all their expenses for them to come. Then the site visitors, the team submits a report to the accrediting agency, and the report is given to the board for vote for accreditation. So you can have anything from a provisional all the way up to probationary to 8 years. So it can sway a lot. So we received a 5-year accreditation. Other programs receive 1 or 2 years, receive a provisional where they have to provide additional information and increase their scores in order to remain accredited. So JRCDMS is concerned with educational standards for sonography. They're established in '79, and they're sponsored by 9 organizations. They currently accredit 170 institutions that train students in sonography, where JRCNMT is concerned with educational standards for nuclear medicine, developed in or established in 1970, and they have over 100 programs. So certification, it deals with the demonstration of minimum competencies and recognized professional skills and knowledge. So generally competency is demonstrated by a test. It's a voluntary process and highly sought after by professionals within healthcare. So you will be taking a certification exam, and we'll talk about that in a couple slides. So it is your personal responsibility to achieve and maintain professional certification, and the initial application fee, exam fees, annual fees, and continuing education is verified by them. So you need to pay every year to maintain your license, and you need to do continuing education. You are also ethically bound to report any kind of instances that you have, whether it's personal or on the job, that are criminal. So certifications are offered in a lot of different professions, imaging professions. So you have radiography, nuke med, radiation therapy, sonography, vascular sonography, breast sonography, CT, MRI, cardiac interventional, vascular interventional, quality management, bone density, and radiologist assistant. So certified professionals are listed in a national registry as proof of achievement. So they do this annually, and they update it annually. And if you are in trouble, if you're suspended or you have your license revoked, it will state that. So you are able to just jump online and be able to look up anyone's eligibility. So if you're working in fluoro and you don't know their license number, with the state, you can look it up, and with your ASRT, you can look it up and get their number. So it's public record, which is great. So also will display all of the credentials earned. So my name will say Christy Foster Bowman, RRA, and then parentheses MR, parentheses CT, parentheses radiography. And then my state licenses would be RHB, would be R, F, and M. So radiography, fluoro, and mammography. So you have to maintain all of those, and that would be your licensure with the state compared to your ASRT, which is your certification. Woo-wee, huh? All right. So the board determines the standards for the registry, the eligibility requirements, the examination questions. They determine the fees and the ethical standards. So the most popular and what everybody uses in the United States is ASRT. It's found in 1922 and incorporated in 1936 and 44, where the ACR and the ASRT became co-sponsors. So currently the ASRT appoints 5 members to the board, and ACR, which is American College of Radiology, and that's the radiologist accreditation, or certification board. So they appoint 4 members. So the purpose is to encourage the study and promote it, elevate the standards. They do examination and certifying eligibility, and periodically publish list of registrants. So you're required, if you're licensed by the ASRT, to do 24 CEUs during the previous 2 years. You're required to uphold ethics by maintaining ASRT Code of Ethics. There are more than 300,000 people that they have certified, and 274 certifications in radiography. So you'll see there about 26,000 have multiple licenses like myself. So once licensed as a technologist, you will be registered as a radiographer, which is really cool. So the ultrasound is American Registry of Diagnostic Medical Sonographers, ARDMS. So we talked about that. They are 1975. Certification through examination, so sonography and vascular, there's about 60,000 people that are registered. They offer 4 credentials, so you have diagnostic, vascular, and registered physician in vascular interpretation. Other specialty areas that they do is abdomen, breast, neuro, sonography, obstetrics, and gynecology, and fetal echo. So nuclear medicine, founded in 77, the purpose is examination and certification of candidates. They publish everybody. They have about 15,000 people. They have 3 specialty examinations, so nuclear cardiology, positron emission tomography, and nuclear medicine advanced associates. So it's like a PA in nukes. So state licensing agencies. California does require a state license, and you have to have a state license in radiography and fluoroscopy in order to do radiography or fluoroscopy. You can't just have a fluoroscopy license, you have to have a radiography license with fluoroscopy. But you can have radiography without fluoroscopy. Interesting, huh? Laws can vary a lot from state to state, so it's your responsibility to make sure that you carry a state license. If you're going to move to New York, I believe they have a state license. There's only a handful of states that have a state license. You need to find out who has state licensing if you plan on moving out of California. ASRT has a listing of all of them for you. Many states will honor this certification from the ART, which is great. It's known around the world, so if you'd like to move to another country, it will be recognized by most, whereas they don't recognize anyone coming in, which is kind of sad. So, professional societies. Their duties, they usually educate is the #1 thing that they do. They offer scholarships, there's research and special reports, there's governmental affairs and appointments and malpractice insurance plans, and the ASRT has a really, really good insurance plan. So if you guys are looking for malpractice insurance when you graduate, I recommend them. I used them for many years and it was reasonable. So ASRT, they are there to advance the profession, maintain high standards in education, enhance the quality of patient care, and further the welfare and social economics of RTs. So they are the most prominent voice for us, and they're founded in 1920, and they have 140,000 members. If you can go to Albuquerque, New Mexico to see their facility, go. It is spectacular. It is beautiful, and they have a museum. It's just an amazing, amazing place. So all the money that they have, and they have a lot, is from CEUs. So it's not from dues. Everyone says, oh my gosh, I'm paying too much of my dues. It's not from the dues. It's from the CEUs that they've made all their money. So they represent individual practitioners, educators, managers, administrators, and students. So I highly recommend you guys join the ASRT. They're phenomenal. All right, so the thing that they're #1 known for is continuing education. They also do journal articles that you can get CEUs from or just learn cool, latest, greatest stuff. There's scholarships, and it's great for networking. So professional societies, you can see there's a whole bunch of them. These are technologist societies, and these on the other side are radiologists and physicists organizations. So there's a lot. That wraps up your lecture for your professional organizations.